I think in the beginning it's quite strange, isn't it? Because you're quite young and there's this girl like saying, oh my god, like marry me in songs in an assembly, and at the end of the show she was like, come on, let's go upstairs, and I was like, okay, me just following her, not having any idea, like a naive little 13-year-old girl walking up with her, and then I just walk into this room and he's just sat in the corner, and I was like, oh my god. And I was so silent, I didn't say anything. Hi. Love to me means, oh my god, he just said hi Mahalia. Did you hear him?
Wait, what?
He said hi Mahalia.
Really?
Yeah. I'm gassed.
It's so cool.
Know, what the hell? So I was like, hi.
Hi, this is Lauryn Engel. Today I'm here with Mahalia.
Hello.
So you were born in Leicester?
Yes.
Were your parents born there as well, or?
Both of them were born in London. So my mum was born in a place called Balham, and my dad was born in a place called Peckham. And then I think he lived in a place called Southend, which is like past London. It's kind of like Essex.
Yeah.
For like his whole life, and then they met in Leicester.
Oh.
And then they had all of us, and then they stayed.
And then since they were young, they were already doing music full time, or? Like
They
when
were doing,
met?
actually, yeah, so I think they were doing music, but they were doing it separately. So like my mum was a singer in a band and my dad was a session musician in a band. And then when they met, they then formed their own band together.
Oh wow.
I know, it was so much fun. As a kid, it was like living a little rock star life. It was really fun.
And, but it was more like soul music, right? Or?
Yeah, totally. It was like, my dad always called it what I kind of call my genre, and like he's always said it was psychoacoustic soul. It's like a blend of like loads of different genres put together, but like yeah, like through and through kind of alternative soul, I guess.
What's their band name?
What's there? Oh, it was called Club O. it was amazing, and we all had T-shirts that said Club O on them. When we were kids. Yeah, it was so good.
Can you find your parents' music online? Well, like, will you be able to?
Do you know what? Recently, I found a video of my dad with Erykah, who was the band that he played with. And it's the funniest thing, it's like an old Top of the Pops video.
Yeah.
And I think it's shot out here. Wait, yeah, I think it's shot out here.
No way.
And he's got this like little stupid bowl haircut, and he just looks like the funniest like lanky, tall, skinny guy. So amazing. But my mum, you can see bits of my mum online, but it's all like none of it's visual. It's all like an audio thing.
Oh yeah. So
you can hear her, but it's just so nuts because obviously your voice changes so much with age. And like just like naturally, like as you get older, your voice develops and it grows and it changes, and like yeah, they both sound super different now.
Didn't you used to play a game with your mom, like Guess Who's Singing or something?
Yeah. All the time. So like my mum would put records on, and it'd always be like female singers. So it'd be like Aretha Franklin or Billie Holiday or Mahalia Jackson or like literally a long list. And she'd be like, who's singing? And I could never do it. Like even now sometimes I'm like,
really?
Well, I've got no idea. No, I'm so like, I'm better now with voices. I think if you grow up listening to voices, you just know instantly. Like if I played my mum the charts, she'd be like, and I'd be like, who's singing? She'd be like, I don't know. And I'd be like, well, I do. Like I can hear our voices now, and I'm like, yeah, I know exactly who that is. So I think it's just like a generational thing, but it was a really fun game.
You know, do you remember who you started listening to, like, except outside of what your parents showed you initially?
Adele.
Oh.
Adele's first album, 19. I think I had a little like purple iPod shuffle, so I must have been like maybe 11 or 12 because it was my first iPod. So bad. Those little. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
And you clip them on, and you couldn't choose. What a weird. Wow. But so I had one of the. Well, I had one of those, and I downloaded her first album, and I was like so in love with it. And I remember showing it to my parents and being like, listen to this. It's amazing. So I was quite young actually when I first kind of delved into my own musical source.
Did you kind of already know from the onset that you had a voice, like that you're talented, or like everyone was a musician, so did you think that like, oh, everyone from my family is just
all gonna do it? Yeah. I definitely knew that I could kind of sing. It kind of took me a really long time to even say, oh, I'm a singer. Like when I was young, I used to sing like I've got loads of old videotapes of me singing like Avril Lavigne's Skater Boy, like in a little towel outside in the garden, and like, you know, I loved performing and I loved dancing, I loved singing. But when I really think about it, like, you know, when I started writing songs, I was just, in my mind, I was like, well, I'm a songwriter. And then about a year ago, I was like, I think I can actually sing well. Like, I feel like singing, you know, there's a massive difference between being a singer and being a songwriter. And like, I guess I never really saw myself as a singer until quite recently. Yeah.
And then the first few songs you wrote were like about a boy crush or something, right?
Yes, they were all about the same boy.
Did he ever find out?
Yeah, he
did?
It was quite, I mean, do you know, it's funny because so many of them are about him and it's like, I know, so many, like, even recent ones, I feel like...
Really?
Yeah, I feel like, well,
It's like 5 years later.
This is like 7 years later. I know.
He's like, still me.
I think me and him had quite a long history.
Oh.
And like we dated in school and then we didn't see
then that's legit. I thought it was just like you saw somebody in your class.
Oh my god, no. Like,
okay, that's legit then.
We dated in school and then we dated again when we were older. So you have that like, natural kind of, you know, that like connection from like when you're young. Oh my god, these roads are so big. Wait, so we can just cross?
Yeah.
Oh, what? That's easy, I didn't realise.
Yeah, they're just gonna wait.
Hello. Look at me.
What was his reaction then to like the songs?
In the beginning, I think in the beginning it's quite strange, isn't it? Because you're quite young and there's this girl like saying, oh my god, like marry me in songs in an assembly at school. Like I performed them in assembly at school, so I think he was a little bit weirded out by it, which is fair enough. But do you know what, I think actually he was quite flattered. I'd be flattered if somebody was writing like I want it, like I would love that. I'd be like, yeah, write a song about me. So I think he quite liked it. Yeah.
How did you meet? Was it the songwriter Amy or?
Yes, Amy Wadge.
Yeah, so how did you even meet her initially?
So basically, I was kind of on this mission to meet Ed Sheeran. Like, he was my favourite artist when I was like maybe 13. Yeah, 13. He was like, I had A-Team on the radio for the first time and I was like, who is this? This is amazing. And this is just after I started playing the guitar. So I was trying to learn it on the guitar and I remember saying to my mum, I was like, I really want to meet Ed Sheeran. Oh God. And it was one of those things, it was like, you know, my mum had seen that Ed had written with Amy Wadge, and my mum had been to like 6 of Amy Wadge's shows when she was a bit younger. So she was like, oh my god, wait, no, I know this woman, let's go and see her. So my mum was like, why don't you write some songs with Amy? And we sent Amy 4 of my tracks and Amy was like, oh my god, yeah, come down. And I went to see her and we just really got on. Like, I mean, Amy's still in my life now. Like, I still see Amy, I still write songs with her. And basically, that's kind of how it started, just from this connection that she had with Ed. And I was like, well, I really want to meet this woman. Because I loved the songs that she'd written with him. So I was really interested in what it'd be like to write with somebody. And so I went to write with her.
Yeah. So you sent her songs, so you already were like in the studio, like doing sessions when you were 12?
I was in my bedroom.
Oh.
But like my dad had like a little studio set up at home.
Yeah.
But it was literally like a laptop, a little sound card and like some cables and like a microphone. It wasn't a lot, but it was enough to make some music and put it on SoundCloud.
Yeah. And then you got your record label because he tweeted, right? Ed tweeted.
Yeah. So Amy took me to see a show of his in Wolverhampton. And he like, oh, it was so funny. Like, I remember like me and her stood up and sang every single word to every single song. And at the end of the show, she was like, come on, let's go upstairs. And I was like, okay. Me just following her, not having any idea. Like a naive little 13-year-old girl walking up with her. And then I just walk into this room and he's just sat in the corner. And I was like, oh my god. And I was so silent, I didn't say anything. I had a little voice like this and I was just like, hello, nice to meet you. And it was just so, it was just amazing. And like, I left the show and I was so excited. And he, literally like 20 minutes after I left, he tweeted, everyone check out this 13-year-old girl.
So he already heard all your music? Or?
So what was weird was that as I walked into the room, he said, hold on, this is weird, I've just heard about you. And I was like, what? And then he showed me on his iPad that he'd been emailed my SoundCloud link with my songs.
From Amy?
I don't even think it was.
Oh wow, that's
It was
cool.
honest, it was so like, it really like, I think that was the first time that I really felt like the universe was like throwing things into place. It was so crazy.
Yeah.
Just all happened in a really nice time.
But what made you want to sign so young?
I think if you dangle anything shiny in front of a child's face, they're going to be like, yeah, I'll take it.
Did your parents not say like no or like be more cautious?
My parents definitely, I think they actually got a lot of stick for it, which I think is quite, like, it's hard. Like, I guess, I mean, imagine if my parents would have looked at their kid who wanted to be a singer so bad and said, no, you can't do it. And then I never got, like what if I never got over it? Or like, what if I always hated them for it? Or,
oh, yeah.
and I guess it was that. I guess they wanted to avoid resentment. And you know, bless them, because I think a lot of people really disagreed with their decision. And I get that. And it's hard, but I've got such amazing parents that I was never, you know, I was never going to be exploited. I was never going to be kind of mistreated or kind of, it was that kind of thing. Like, my parents were super protective of me, and that really helped me kind of have a safe development as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But so after you signed with them, were you putting music out?
Kind of. So so those songs, I put them out properly as an EP with a cover, and then I was writing at the same time. I started doing sessions, and then what did I do? I put out another EP when I was like 17. So I was like doing school and writing music and doing school and writing. Like, it was quite hard at first. It was quite hard to balance the two lives. But then I put out another EP, and then I put out some singles, and then I finished my studies. Then I put out a mixtape, and so it was this like slow but really like organic growth.
Yeah. Actually, why did you want to study like acting and dancing?
So I had always acted, danced and sang, and what it was for me was that I just thought, I don't want to give that up. Like, although I love music, I don't want to give my other hobbies, I guess, up. And also I was worried that if I studied music, then I'd lose my love for it. So I was like, so for the first year I studied acting, and then for the last 2 years I studied dance.
And that was for college, right?
Yeah.
Why did you decide, did your parents like want you to like have to go to college?
So, you know, college for us is what we call sixth form. So it's like from 16 to 18 years old.
Yeah.
So that's like, is that like the end of your high school?
Yeah. So
yeah.
So it wasn't like
wasn't like university.
Oh, okay.
No, so I never went to university. I stayed on until I was 18. So basically, from 14 to 16, I studied acting, and then from age 16 to 18, I studied dance.
Oh.
Yeah. Then I left school at 18, and then all my friends went to university, and I went to do this. Yeah.
Were you ever afraid of like pigeonholing yourself into like a creative career? Like, do you know that somehow or another you would make it doing something creative?
I was definitely scared of doing that. I think what's really hard is that when you start something so young, you don't really know ever when it's going to finish. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it was that kind of thing. It was like, I was kind of worried that I was stunting myself. But then when I thought about it, it was like, as I got older, I was like, well, I don't want to do anything else. Like, I love what I do, and I love the places that it takes me, and I love the people that I get to meet. And so I was really happy when I got older, definitely.
And then, but you liked school like all along, right?
Oh, I loved it.
So rare, honestly, for a musician. So many hated school.
Really?
So like, you're like 1% of the people I've interviewed who really liked it.
I definitely know that like I have this thing that like, you know, I really love being creative, and I love this life, and I love being able to come to places like LA and kind of just be an artist. But I also really love my friends from school, and I love all the normal stuff, and I love like, I don't know, like I surround myself with really just like close normal people. Like all my best mates are from school, and like my family are really close to me, and yeah, so it's funny. I've never really kind of put myself in the industry bubble. Yeah.
And then, so after you finished school, like where was your career at by that point?
It was still kind of starting out, which is sick, because I guess because I signed so young, there's always that worry that I might lose that like longevity. But by the time that I left school, I was still being referred to as an emerging artist, which is really
This was already to Atlantic?
Yes. So Asylum is a branch off of Atlantic. Yeah.
Okay.
So I've been signed to them for 7 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Nuts. It's super crazy, but it's super, like, I do genuinely, I feel really, 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 really grateful. So, yeah, no, I'm really grateful that I could stay there and kind of grow and develop, but also make music that I wanted to make and take my time with things, basically.
Were you working other jobs, like, to support yourself while you were doing? Wait, so right after you graduated, you're already, like, making money from music?
In the beginning, I made a bit of money, just because that's kind of what, like, most artists that sign will get a bit of money, like an advance, yeah. But when I was 18, no, like, I moved to London and I thought I could afford it, and I couldn't. That's why I was so sad in London on my first time. I was like, God, I hate this. Like, I can't afford it. I've not got any money. I've not got any friends. Like what am I doing? And so I moved back to Leicester when I was 18, and I lived in Leicester for 2 more years. And then
with your parents?
No, on my own. I lived with some friends. I was literally like, I wasn't really sofa surfing, but I was definitely like staying in people's beds and like staying on people's sofas for like a year. So that's cool, but as you know, as a person with quite a big job and quite a big, there's a lot to do as an artist, and you need to be ready to do it at all times. And I guess as a girl, just staying on people's sofas is quite long. Like, I feel like, I don't know, just for many different reasons, really. But it can be a lot. And so I was really I was super lost when I was like 18, and so I moved back. I went back to Leicester, stayed with friends in Leicester because I still had no money. And then eventually I moved into a place on my own, got back on my feet, and then I moved back to London this year. And
nice.
Yeah, so I'm super I'm in a much better place this year. But yeah, it's nuts. Like, I handed out CVs when I was 17 just to feel empowered, but I've never had a job. I had a paper round when I was like 10. But other than that, and even that, I wasn't very good at it. I was like, I can't do this. I'm not good at it.
Yeah. And were you doing a lot of open mics?
I was. So I started doing open mics when I was like 11.
Oh, so this is way back. Okay.
Yeah. So that's how I started doing open mics. And then after I got signed, I kind of stopped them, because it was like, by that point, you know, you start getting asked to do gigs, and then you're kind of trying to get your name out there. But no, I was doing open mics for like 2 years. And then that's how I met quite a few people.
Oh.
But yeah, so it was good. Open mics are so good, and like, if anybody ever asks me if they should do them, I'm just always like, yeah, because like, not so much for the exposure, but just for the practice. So it's that kind of thing.
Yeah. And did you meet Rudimental through Atlantic?
Label? Yeah. So, well, because we're label mates.
Yeah.
It made sense. Like, it was, so they'd asked me to come in and write some songs. So I went in and we had a session and we wrote the song We Generation. And it was funny because when I was writing it, I didn't know I was going to sing it. I just thought that we were just writing a song and someone else was going to sing it, and then they made it the title track, and it was just all a bit of that was like the first kind of moment of crazy for me, definitely. And
was it ever like, were you ever afraid in studios for like sharing so much of, like, being so vulnerable, especially in your lyrics?
I definitely
at such a young age, yeah.
Like, I was super worried about like always showing everybody, you know, like every part of me, and it's a really personal thing to do, writing songs with so many people. But it's good. Yeah. And it means that now I'm quite good at it. Like, I'm quite good at walking into rooms and meeting people, and yeah.
And what were your inspirations for your music videos? I feel like they're all like super special, and everyone, like, the feedback is like crazy. No, all the comments are so positive.
Nice. Like, I mean, even the latest one, I Wish I Missed My Ex, that
one is so cool. People are like wondering how you sang while walking, like everything was backwards, like it was one of the top comments.
Honestly, sometimes I wonder how I did it. Like, on the day, I think I must have cried that over 3 times, like, and they were like proper breakdowns. Like, it was crazy, but it was good. And it was like, So with that one, so the inspiration from that came from the Far Side video Drop. And it was like, it was just so weird. Like I had to like step and like walk backwards, like up steps and stuff, and then dance backwards, and then sing the lyrics backwards, so that when it flips round, you're walking normally, but not really normally, because it just, I look so funny, and I'm like mouthing the words. But it was so funny because like I got a comment from somebody like, oh, it could have been better, and I was like, dude, like,
it's so hard to choreograph
but,
everything.
No, I really love all my videos, and I find it like, if I don't, like, I've done one where I really, like, when we got it back, I was like, I don't like this can't go out, and you know, like, I feel like you kind of win some, you lose some, and sometimes you make a loss, and sometimes you make a win. So yeah.
And how did the song with Little Simz come about?
So I've always been a massive fan of Simz, like huge fan of Simz, and basically when I wrote that song, I knew that I wanted a female voice on it, but I just didn't know whose. And Simz has this like perfect balance between being political and just being so fucking real, like, and I just, for me, I was just like, I always wanted to work with her. And then when I wrote Proud of Me, you know, even though it was a personal song, I just thought, why not? Like, why don't I just ask? And so I was too scared to ask because I am a bit of a scaredy cat, but I asked my manager to get in contact with her manager and just hit her up and just say, do you want to do it? And she came to the studio and we sat together. I watched her write, and then it was sick. It was so good. It was good. No, I'm really, like, that's one of my proudest moments, I think.
And then, do you have an album coming up?
I've got an EP coming out on Friday. So I announced, it's so funny because I announced, like, I posted the cover art, like, yesterday, 2 days ago, with the date. And everyone's like, oh my God, it's the album. And I'm like, oh, no, it's not. But it's a 5-track EP. I'm really excited. And I'm actually, like, I'm out here now finishing my album. So, yeah, I'm just trying to, like, get people kind of into the sound and what's going to come next and what's going on. But yeah, no, I'm super excited about this EP.
What's the inspiration behind it?
It's called Seasons. So it basically, you know, I've always like referred to moments in my life as seasons of my life. And so I guess with this is like 5 seasons of a relationship, and like different stages.
That.
Yeah, like
that's so cool.
And it's like different stages that you go through in relationships, and I guess each song is different, and it kind of has a different take on what's happening now. But I really love it, and it's kind of in chronological order. So it starts in the beginning when it's like your first night together, and then it ends when you part and you can't be together anymore. Oh my God, yeah, no, I really like I'm genuinely proud of it.
How do you say your music has changed since the early songs you made?
How's it changed? It's really changed. You know, I think when I first started writing, it was just me and my guitar, and like for such a lot, like, I think what happens is, as an artist, when you're listening to music and then you're writing music, you're kind of naturally being inspired by what you're listening to at that time. So at that time, I was so into Ed Sheeran, I was really into Kate Nash, Adele, that first album when it was just her and the guitar, and it's like, because I was so into all that stuff, that's all I wanted to be. And then what happens is that you get older, and then everything kind of develops and you mature, and you start listening to different music. And then I got into so many artists. Like, I was so into Lauryn Hill and Erykah Badu and Angie Stone and Jill Scott, and I was just so into these kind of strong, soulful female voices, and I was just like, that's what I want to do. Like, I wanted to feel how I did when I was listening to their music, when I listened to my music, basically. So I wanted, like, when I listen to their music, you know, I feel good, I feel happy, I want to dance around the kitchen, I want to clean up, I want to I want to be productive, and I wanted to feel like that when I was listening to my songs. So that's kind of how it came about. And I love instrumentation, and I love live instruments, and I just always think it's important to kind of keep that involved. Yeah, basically.
How would you say you've grown as a person compared to when you were younger?
I'm so much smarter, especially with boys. When I was younger, I was so like, well, you're just so naive, like you don't care how anything's gonna feel or how it's gonna hurt, whereas I feel like now I'm older, like I definitely protect myself in more situations, whether that be personal or professional. It's like, I think you can recognise when something's happened that has hurt you, and then you recognise that feeling when it's coming again, and you're like, nope, I don't want that. And so I guess I'm more awake to the feeling of being hurt, or like, yeah, I guess energy as well. Like, energy for me is a massive thing. Like, you know, like people say, like, don't give too much of your energy away. Like, I feel like I'm such a giver, and my mum is as well, and I feel like I totally take after her. And my dad has this amazing quality to like not give away too much. He's always like, he'll give a little bit, but he'll keep most of it for himself. Whereas I'll give most of me away and I'll keep a little bit for myself, and then I'll get run down or I'll get tired. And it's like, you know, I've not been unwell in like nearly a year, which is like nuts for me. Wow. And that's because I'm focusing so much on keeping my own energy to myself, but also confidence. My confidence is like sky high. Since like when I was younger, I mean, I feel like it's normal, isn't it? Like, we all go through that moment of like, oh, you know, I hate my hair, or oh, I don't like this about me, or and like now I'm just like, I don't care. Like, I've got big boobs, I've got curves, I've got beautiful hair. That's not this. My hair's an afro. This is a nice blonde wig. I have a mole that everyone used to laugh at, and now I love it. And it's like, you know, there is nothing about me and my genetics that I can change. So why would I try?
Yeah, I love that.
So I think that's really important that like people kind of get that and try and focus on that.
What do you say have been your biggest challenges so far in your life?
My GCSEs, so my exams.
I did GCSEs also.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So wait. So do you
in Hong Kong, which used to be UK.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so hard. Like, I was so stressed. My mum literally still sometimes laughs. She's like, you were horrible that year. And I was like, of course I was, oh my God, I just tripped. Of course I was horrible, because it's so stressful. And like all the teachers put so much stress on you to get everything perfect. And so that was stressful. But you know what? I actually found music quite stressful. Like when I was like 16, 17, I was super, super, super stressed by music. And like, you know, because you love something for so long, and then people come in and they're like, right, now change this and do that and change that, and you're like, no, I want to just do whatever I want to do. If people don't like it, then that's fine. But yeah, it's quite hard to find that balance.
Yeah. What does love mean to you?
Love to me. Hi. Love to me means. Oh my God, he just said hi, Mahalia. Did you hear him?
Wait, what?
He said hi, Mahalia.
Really?
Yeah. I'm gassed.
That's so cool.
What the hell? So I was like, hi. Love to me means, I think it means, you know, like that unconditional feeling when no matter who the person is, whether it's a, you know, whether it's a relationship or a friendship or a family or whoever, it's like you just love that person unconditionally. And you know, I was reading about this thing called love language, and like, what's your love language? And my main one is touch. And I think it's really important. This sounds so stupid, but I think it's really important to always, like, you know, like have that contact. I think human contact is so important. And I'm a massive, like, I'm really touchy-feely. Like I love holding my mum's hand, and I love I love if my dad like sees me and he just has a hand on my back. Like, I just love that feeling of like feeling close to people. Last question, what do you want to be remembered for? I want to be remembered for my honesty. You know, I would honestly hate if people believed that I was disingenuous with my music and with my being. Like, I think that would upset me more than anything. Like, I don't mind if you don't like my music, but I would mind if people believed that I wasn't being true to myself. And you know, I think in my music and at my live shows and when I meet people that come to the shows, it's like, for me, the most important thing is just showing them all of me and just making them aware that, like, you know, I'm literally a kid from a tiny town just playing music and trying to make some new friends. Yeah, I love this. This is so cool. Thank you so much. Of course. Bye. Bye.